Hey, it's Chris, and I just got back from the Apple Store where I've been walking around, talking to employees, checking out the Macs as I start my search for my next Pro Mac. Look, I want to make this interactive. Do you guys want to help me buy my next Mac? I don't mean like pay for it. I just mean like help me pick out what I'm going to get because I'm going to be using it, featuring it here on the channel. It's going to be a big part of the channel moving forward. So if you guys want to get involved, I figured that's kind of cool because when you see it on the channel from here on out, you'll know that you had some input and help make it happen. And really, I wanted to put this process out there so that if you are looking for a new Pro Mac, then maybe me going through the process, thinking through all the different endpoints and ways of doing things could be useful to you. And if you're not looking for a Mac right now, then maybe it's just fun to come along on the journey. So I actually envision this being the beginning of like a 3 or 4 part series. Right now I'm in the pre-buying stage, the research phase, and I'm kind of seeing what's out there. What I want to do is in this episode tell you guys kind of what I'm thinking, get your feedback and your input before actually pulling the trigger. Before I get any further, I just want you guys to consider this tweet, which is an idea that popped into my head the other day about the future of the Mac. And I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it for too long. I'm gonna flash it on the screen, so get ready to pause. Here it is. And yeah, I'm gonna let you think about that for a little bit. All right, let's get to computer shopping. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. Now, imagine for a second going out and buying an expensive new computer without doing any research, without learning anything about it first. That would not be good, right? It's the same thing with life, I think. You have to learn constantly so that you can always be making the best decisions, which is why I'm excited about today's sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so you can join the classes and communities that are just right for you and your goals. Whether you want to fuel your curiosity, your creativity, or even your career, Skillshare is the perfect place to keep you learning and thriving in 2019. There's so many great classes, I could practically stay on there forever. But lately, I'm super excited about the Drawing on Everything course from Chantel Martin. It's all about discovering your creative voice. An annual subscription to Skillshare is less than $10, so pretty affordable. And you can join more than 7 million creators learning with Skillshare using the link down in the description, which will give you a 2-month free trial. Okay, so let's just kind of start at the beginning. I am looking for a new computer to replace my 2016 MacBook Pro. Why? Well, the first reason is I just need something that's speedier and faster for video editing, right? What I want to be able to do is apply all kinds of effects to my 4K footage or 4K 60 footage. I want to use optical flow. I want to slow it down. I want to stabilize it. I want to color grade it, have all these things going on, and my computer just chops through it, cuts through it like butter. No proxy footage even necessary. When I first got my 2016 MacBook Pro, it was like that. It was transformative. It was like a big improvement over what I was using before, but over these last 3 years, it's kind of starting to slow down. It's lagging a little bit. I'm using different cameras and different techniques, and things have just changed a little bit, and my computer's having a little bit of a hard time keeping up. Second, I've had some battery warping on the 2016 MacBook Pro, and you know what? There have been some battery issues with MacBook Pros. I don't think it's been super widespread, but my battery expanded a little bit and it doesn't sit flat anymore. It's like it could explode any day or something. I have no idea, but that's not good. And so those two things make me say it's time to replace. So right now, as I'm recording this, and even before I went into the Apple Store to check things out in person and kind of get a better feel, I've kind of been leaning towards 2 different replacement machines. And the first one is the MacBook Pro. The second is the iMac Pro. Now, I'm open to suggestions. If you guys have a different setup or configuration that might be cooler than these devices, I'm all ears. Before we get any further, let me just address this right now because I know somebody down in the comments is gonna be like, dude, why aren't you getting a Mac Pro? We've been waiting forever for a replacement for the trash can, and you do video editing, you need pro stuff, this is right up your alley. Well, the Mac Pro is not meant for me, right? That is meant for like super Hollywood style craziness, and I don't need that much power, and I'm not gonna spend that much money. It's really not in the budget or the realm of reality for me right now. Also, Chris, why aren't you considering a PC? Aren't a ton of creators jumping ship and getting on the PC bandwagon right now? A bunch of video editors? Well, some have, yes, and some high-profile people that used to be all about Apple and Mac stuff have. And I suspect that at least a few of these people have been well paid to do so. And if that made sense for them, and even if they weren't paid to do it, cool, I don't care. I'm just gonna do my thing. The thing is, I'm really excited about macOS, especially after WWDC. I like it better than Windows. I'm really excited about Apple's industrial design. I might as well get it straight from the source instead of a potential ripoff. I also love Final Cut Pro, much better for me, especially using a Mac, than Adobe Premiere. And yeah, I'm heavily and happily invested in the Apple ecosystem. So a Mac is really the only thing that makes sense for me right now. Now, I briefly considered maxing out a Mac Mini. Of course, then you got to get a screen and a keyboard and a mouse and everything. It just seems like at the end of the day, even maxed out, it was going to underperform and be a little bit underpowered for what I'm looking for. While I was at the store, the Apple employee was actually explaining to me that the regular old iMac, when it's beefed up, when it's maxed out, could actually outperform a maxed out 15-inch MacBook Pro, which kind of was interesting to me. And so for a second, just a second, I considered going down that route. But if I'm gonna get an iMac, I'm definitely gonna get the iMac Pro. It's just too powerful, and it looks amazing. And let me say this, if the iPad Pro were to get Final Cut Pro, now that we've got external storage support and iPadOS, better file system, wow, I almost would not even need a Mac right now. And I would really love if they would do something else besides just regular old screen mirroring for external display support with Final Cut Pro. Wow, that would be so cool, especially now that we have mouse support too, right? I would love that, but that's not the case right now. Hopefully sometime in the future. So I'm not really considering just going with an iPad Pro right now. So those were some of the options I've kind of been considering right now. Now let's talk about the 15-inch MacBook Pro, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards the most at the moment. And let me just start by saying this is an awful time to even be considering a MacBook Pro, because the next version, the 2020 version, is supposedly going to be the actual redesign. Not just an update, not just a refresh, not just new guts, but a new design. And people have been waiting for this. And the question is, am I prepared? If I buy this now, and you gotta upgrade when you need to upgrade, and I kinda need to, am I prepared to just cry forever when there's a bezel-less design, or there's Face ID, or some other 2 or 3 other features that I'm not gonna wanna live without? The answer is yeah. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna upload for my review just an hour-long video of me just bawling. Now, somebody out there is just gonna be like, Chris, how can you even consider a MacBook Pro right now with all the recent issues? There have been keyboard issues, and there have been some battery issues, and there have been some thermal issues. How can you even consider this? Well, the 2018s did have some thermal issues, but the 2019s, according to several reviews, have much better thermal performance, thanks to that new thermal paste, and probably some other stuff. The keyboard issues are not even close to enough to get me to abandon wanting a MacBook Pro. Not even close. And I live close enough to an Apple store that I can get it replaced. And I actually had to replace my wife's keyboard for her computer, which is not a Pro, it's just a MacBook or an Air. And we took it in on Friday, got it back early on Monday. No downtime, super fast, super friendly. I'm just not worried about it. Also, if I go with the MacBook Pro, I'm gonna get an external monitor, probably, eventually, and hook it up to an external keyboard. So 90% of the time, 95% of the time, not even gonna be typing on that Apple keyboard. Also, I feel like I really like Apple's long-term game plan. Just across the board. They're really, really exciting me again. WWDC was super exciting all across the board. I think great things are coming. So no, I'm not gonna abandon this. This is what I actually, truly, really 100% want, is the Mac or probably MacBook Pro. So when you're considering a MacBook Pro, you're really considering portability. You want that as an option. You can use it at your desk, but you can pack it up. You can take it to the coffee shop where I go a lot. You can take it on a trip, which I do a lot, but I would rather take an iPad. But if I need to take this, then I could. And when it comes to portability, let me tell you, I really like that 13-inch. It's so cool. It's just smaller. I really like it for typing in the lab, for packing, for travel. The thing is, it's just not up there performance-wise with the 15-inch. It doesn't really compare unless you get an eGPU, like the eGPU Pro from Blackmagic, and I don't really want to have that sitting on or around my desk, to be honest, even though the performance there will get you pretty close to what you can get with the 15-inch maxed out. And that maxed out 15-inch will actually get you pretty close, performance-wise, to the base model iMac Pro. So you get that portability and you get a good portion of that power. Like, I was checking out one of Yuryev's videos, which, of course, you have to consult if you're looking at a new Mac, and he was showing the difference between 2016, 2017, and 2018 MacBook Pros, and it looked like there was about a 38% performance boost, kind of generally across the board for Final Cut Pro, with the 2018 over the 2016, which is the one that I have. So if I can get that up into the 40s with a new MacBook Pro 15-inch, like 42, maybe 45, somewhere in that range, close to 50%, that's a massive gain for me. Absolutely massive. And I'll tell you this, I tried out some stuff in the store there on the 13-inch, just the 13-inch, the base model, and immediately that felt so much faster and snappier than my 2016, the base 13-inch. So yeah, a maxed out 15-inch is gonna fly. But then again, there is that iMac Pro, which is really, really powerful with that Xeon processor. And it was there in the store and it was staring at me. It was like, Chris, come check me out. And I did. I came over. I did some tests on it in Final Cut with some 4K, some of the stuff that I would normally do. And it was really genuinely impressive. But just being honest, the only reason I really would actually consider that, I think for myself, is just for the performance boost. It can take the MacBook Pro maxed out 15-inch, no problem. It's definitely more powerful. It's the most powerful thing that you can buy right in an Apple store without having to go and configure it online. And by the way, when I do buy this, I'm definitely going to go online and configure it a little bit because I don't just want whatever's in the store right there. I want to just tune it and tweak it a little bit. And actually, just so this doesn't bog down too much, I'll go ahead and kind of list for you and maybe even link to the exact configuration that I'm considering for all these different computers down in the description. So I really do like the way that the iMac Pro looks. That space gray look is awesome. But here's what I don't really like just about the iMac lineup right now in general is just kind of that form factor. If I'm looking at having a monitor, I really want, I think for my workflow, a widescreen, an ultra wide right now, because I want to be able to see more or maybe the entire timeline that I'm working on and editing on the screen at once. So something like a 49-inch, I'm going to talk a little bit more on this in a second, or something that gives you like two 27-inch displays, the equivalent right in just one thing with no bezels, that's kind of what I'm after. If Apple ends up turning out a widescreen iMac Pro, that would be a different story, but that's not available right now. But can you imagine how cool that would look? But I don't really like what the looks would be or the cost of adding either one or two other monitors to an iMac Pro. It's just not ideal for me. It doesn't look as clean as I would want it to look. I really like that Pro Space Gray keyboard and mouse combo that you get just included with the iMac Pro, but you can buy that separately online. So I'm kind of thinking if I went with the MacBook Pro, I would probably do that because, wow, it does look amazing. And yeah, I don't mind admitting. In fact, I'll proudly declare I like the Magic Mouse 2. Is it 2 now? I really like it. A lot of people really hate it, but it's my go-to. So the iMac Pro is definitely the fastest out of all the things that I'm kind of considering in that realm, in that budget, but it's not portable. And so my game plan for portability, if I went down the iMac Pro route, would be to use an iPad Pro with iPadOS with LumaFusion to get my video editing done in an external drive while I'm on the road. And honestly, I think that's a very doable system. There's no doubt in my mind that I can make that work. The thing is, LumaFusion still has some limits for me. I can't do optical flow with stabilization. Then that's something that I really like to do. I can't do basic things, just regular stabilization in LumaFusion. So there's a few things. Still, I do think that's a pretty compelling setup. iMac Pro, iPad Pro. It could work. So let's get back to the MacBook Pro, the 15-inch. I want to talk about the ultra-wide setup because the way I envision it is either getting a 38, kind of like Canoopsy had. He showed me his model on Twitter, and I looked it up. It's really cool. There's a 49-inch version, and that has me really excited. It's a little bit more, but the productivity boost and the looks, I really like it. So the model is actually the LG 49WL95C-W. It's a 49-inch curved, and it gets good reviews. In fact, I should link up some of this stuff in new slices on myslicedapple.com because I'm running into some really great stuff. In fact, I need to update that. Just a massive update because it's been a while. I'm also kind of looking at a Samsung 49-inch or a Dell 49-inch. If you guys have any opinions about which of those three would be the best, or if there's something else that I need to be considering, please let me know down in the comments. So here's the thing, I mean, with either setup, I could get the work done that I need to do. I'm very sure. I'm a little less sure about that iPad for mobile if I go with the iMac Pro, but with the MacBook Pro, I know I can get everything done that I need to. It's not gonna be a problem, but I don't really mind learning new ways to do things and trying new stuff, especially because it's only gonna be like 5 or 7% of my time spent traveling and away or whatever. Oh, and here's something, as we're considering all the different options for this setup, I can't believe I didn't talk about this already. Sidecar with macOS Catalina, where you can use your iPad natively, kind of like you could Duet Display. It's very cool in early testing, very lag-free. You can barely notice it. So to be able to use that with like Photoshop or all kinds of different apps, that would be amazing. So how would that fit into each of these different desk setups? So recap, the 15-inch MacBook Pro, kind of what I'm leaning towards. I like the versatility, there's no doubt about that, but the iMac Pro is kind of calling to me, is saying I'm the most powerful, and there's something to that. There's something about like trying to be more future-proof and just that little extra speed bump, or, you know, it's kind of hard to quantify the speed bumps between the different things and all the little activities and tasks, but just to have that extra speed, I mean, that does matter. Although coming from 2016, either of these is gonna feel a lot faster. 13-inch MacBook Pro, love it, the form factor, but it's just gonna be too underpowered, I think, even with the GPU. You guys let me know what you think. Also, maxing out a Mac Mini, there's something cool about that. And yeah, I know that I probably could do the editing that I want to, at least for a while, or it might be a little bit slower than I want, or whatever. I don't know, that's another option. I'm sure there's so much that I haven't even thought about, and that's why I'm turning to you guys, making this part of a series, so we can really dig in and think about it and make the best possible build that we can for the channel's future success. So, the next episode in this series is obviously going to be the reveal, what I ended up buying based largely on your feedback. So you're very involved here, and I appreciate that, and I'm excited. And the next episode is probably gonna be about testing it out, putting it through its paces, talking about it, whatever it ends up being, and the difference and the impact that it makes on my work. And then we're gonna talk about, after that, in another episode, the accessories and all the stuff that kind of go along with whatever machine we go with and how it's working out, and just kind of deck it out, make it as useful and productive and beautiful as possible. And at some point in the future, we'll probably look back in another episode and say, was this the right path? Am I happy that I went down this particular direction? And it's just gonna be a lot of fun. Who knows what all kind of content is gonna be out there as part of this series, but this is where it starts. Super excited. I'm glad to have you guys along for the ride. I can't imagine doing it any other way anyways. Whew. So yeah, that's about it for this video. If you're not already, you should really follow me on Instagram and Twitter, because all kinds of things are popping up in those different places, different kinds of content, like the tweet that I tweeted earlier. You don't want to miss out on that stuff. So follow at Daily Tech, spelled Daily T-E-K-K, in both places. And by the way, a lot of cool stuff is coming up. Just cool stuff. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.